I was in Turkey, Istanbul, Turkey. I was on tour with this company called Feld Entertainment, and I was dancing with Mickey Mouse and Goofy, and some of my friends in the show were like, Nico, come look at this Tony performance of Newsies, and I was like, what's that? And so I watched, and I was like, oh, there's guys, and they're my height, and they're singing, and they're dancing, and I was like, what is this? So I did all my research on the show. Then I went back to I was living in LA at the time. I went to UCLA, and woo, yeah, Bruins, yeah. So then I came back to LA, and they had an open call in LA, right down the street, actually, at IDA, actually, and I went there and auditioned, and they kept me till the very end, and I just heard Alex Wong had left the show, and I was like, oh, I look like him. Maybe they'll use me. So then I called my friend who was in New York, and I was like, hey, did they hire anyone yet to replace Alex? And he's like, yeah, they hired someone 2 weeks ago. I was like, great, all right. So then 4 years later, I got a random email saying, come to New York for a open call, for the final callback for Newsies on tour. And I was like, you haven't seen me in 2 years, are you sure I can still dance? But so then I trained for a month. I went to New York, lived on a friend's couch for a week, and then I left New York with a job, and then I was on Newsies.
And how long were you on the tour?
I was on the tour since the very beginning. So we started rehearsal September of 2014, and then we just closed in October.
And then when did you learn that it was going to be filmed in Los Angeles?
We were in Costa Mesa, and we got an email saying, hey guys, we have a meeting, just show up. And usually when we get those things, we're like, uh-oh. Showed up to the meeting, and they let us know that they're gonna film our show. And there were a lot of questions, but pretty much just, we're gonna film it, and it's gonna be made into a movie, and it's gonna be showing in movie theaters like at the El Cap.
So a million questions about, okay, there's life on tour, you're doing 8 shows a week, and then you come to LA, you do the 8 shows a week, because we did a week of performances, and then all of a sudden you have a week of filming. Describe 8 performances a week on tour versus a week of filming.
So we lived at the Pantages pretty much. We would show up at 10 in the morning, then we would rehearse until 4 or 5, and then we'd have a 2.5 hour break, and then we would do a show. So imagine rehearsing Newsies, all that you just saw, and then doing the show. And then, so we did that 8 times. So it was rough. It was so worth it, obviously. And then we filmed the movie, and we filmed it for a week, and literally everything you saw, that was filmed in 5 days, and then the live capture. But it was different because, you condition yourself doing 8 shows a week, but now you're doing Seize the Day 4 or 5 times in a row. And they're like, all right, we need a full out every time. It's like, all right, back tucks, everything, footays, everything has to be on point every single time you do it. So it's a little different, but I think after doing the show 8 times a week, we were a little bit more conditioned to, doing Seize the Day 10 million times.
And how do you go full out for a camera with no audience? Because there were days there with just cameras and no audience, right?
Yeah, it was, acting. You just really gotta pretend. But it actually helps though, people always ask too whenever they come on stage, when I bring them backstage with my family, it's like, oh, do you ever see anybody in the audience when you're performing? And I'm like, no, I can't see anything. Literally, I only see the lights. It's tough to see you guys. So to me, when we were doing the movie, it's like, yeah, there's all these movies, but still, we were in the Pantages, in this beautiful theater, and it still felt like we were performing for an audience. So it was easy to keep that energy up.
Do you have a favorite song in Newsies?
I really enjoy performing Once and For All, because it's kind of the crew in the back is working their butts off, we're on stage singing, the orchestra's rocking, it's kind of a culmination of everything. But it's weird, after watching this, I like Rolvo No, I really like doing it, but after watching this, I was like, wow, Rolvo No is really good. We get really angry. So yeah, it's after the movie, I'm like, wow, that's one of my favorites now.
So do you have a favorite dance move in the show at some point? And is there a favorite dance move that you don't do that you wish you did?
Oh geez, so many favorite dance moves in there. There's Christopher Catelli's the choreographer. His choreography is so brilliant, and after watching it now and watching myself do it, I'm like, oh, that's what I look like doing that. there's like a little snippet of something. It's like it's in a transition, and it's this little piece of choreography that's so brilliant. And I didn't catch it. I don't like you guys probably didn't even catch it, but it's after carrying the banner, me and Sky, who plays Albert, we jump off the table, and then there's like it just zooms in on us, and it's like little this little rondejam thing, and it's like so like I was like, wow, that's what that's like my favorite part. That's probably one of my favorite pieces of choreography, and the spoons in King of New York. I feel like it was a little taste of it. I feel like we could have done King of New York all with spoons, but and then I think if there's a move that I am so good at that I wish I'd done more of, it's probably like I don't know, like the shimmy or something. I don't know. I don't know.
You talked about you audition and then you didn't hear for years, and then you got contacted again. Is there a point in the process that somebody talked to you, like, was there a piece of advice, not necessarily related to Newsies, but just in your career, that somebody came along and said, hey, this is great advice for you, I hope you listen to this? Is there something in the back of your mind that helps keep you moving forward?
Oh, yeah, it's something that stuck with me for a while, but I went to a performing arts school in San Diego, and there was this one guy from my high school who went out. He was on Broadway, he's done a lot of work, and he came back and watched one of our shows that I was performing in, and he came up to me and was, after one of the shows, he already graduated, came back, and he just walked to me and was like, hey, just, you're great, just so you know, like, San Diego's really small. And then he that's it, and left it at that and walked away. And I was like, I have no idea what he means. And then I went to my first audition in LA, and I was like, there's 80 other guys that look just like me, and they do triple pirouettes and they're doing backflips. I'm like, oh, that's what he means. That's what he means. So that's something that I think about all the time. It's like I'm like, you're small, like you don't really know what's out there. So that really encourages me. Like, even though I had a job like Newsies, I was still working my butt off. I was still taking classes in almost all cities that I was in, because there's someone out there that still wants my job, no matter what. So I have to make sure that I'm always still at the top of my game, and that's something that always stuck with me. And even for the 2 years after Newsies, when I was like, oh gosh, I didn't get anything, and but I never let the idea of Newsies out of my head. I still wanted to be a part of it, so I still worked because I knew that there were other boys around the world, around the country, or probably even the world now, that want to be on Newsies. So I knew that as long as I kept that in my mind and I kept working, that someday I'd be a Newsie.
It's awesome. And we know this is getting late, so we do want it to open up to the floor. So if there's anybody upstairs, I think we're going to start upstairs. A couple of questions. Anybody have any questions down here? You guys are all very... Yeah. There's a microphone will come to you.
She asked what age did I begin dancing. I began dancing when I was 4 years old, and I'm a lot older now.
We have a question up here in the balcony.
Oh, excellent.
Well, actually, that was my question, but I have a second one. What are you working on now?
Right now, I am not working on anything currently. No, I'm just auditioning, and my fiance and I are moving to New York in 2 weeks. We're moving to New York. We're gonna go, and that's what I'm working on right now. I think. If you want to do musical theater, and if you want to do that, I think you need to be in New York. But if you want to do commercial stuff, if you want to be on commercials, stay here. But if you want to do musical theater, go to New York. So, yeah.
Got one here? Go ahead and say it, and I'll speak. What was it like working with some of the original cast members of Newsies?
I was a huge fan of everything of Newsies, because it was insane when we first. I had met some of the boys from the original cast. They were all really cool, and then all of a sudden, like, Andrew Keenan Bolger shows up to rehearsal, and then Ben Fankhauser shows up, and then all of a sudden Jeremy Jordan's at rehearsal randomly. We're like, oh my gosh, it's Jeremy. It was amazing. They were really open to. Because, the tour cast was there, so we already had formed our DNA. We already had our thing that we do 8 times a week. They were totally open to just, throwing themselves into that and then they threw in what they carried over from the original Broadway cast. So it was a really, like, what you saw was just like a cool little chemistry thing that we formed within 5 days, within like a week. So that was it was amazing. They were all really cool, and they were all really just open to just working with us. Yeah.
And there were more Newsies in the live capture than there were on the tour and on Broadway, right?
There were a lot more. Yeah, Paper Dance, I don't know how we didn't kick each other. No one got, there was a lot more Newsies on stage than there's ever been.
So, and I heard the rehearsals in the week that you were doing the 8 performances.
Yes.
Were figuring out, okay, we've got 6 extra people in this scene, we've got 4 extra people, don't run into each other.
Exactly, that's before every take, we would always have to just make sure, like our dance captain Andrew Wilson was down off stage. He's like yelling everyone's number. So I don't know if anyone knows, but there's numbers on stage, so we know where to go. He's yelling everyone's numbers, so we're not like, because what we did for the tour was a little bit different than what we did for the live capture. So some of our formation changes were different. Like I remember running to the wrong place during King of New York, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm on the other side of the stage, and then I had to run all the way back. But no, it's like safety was the biggest concern because there were so many more boys, and everything kind of changed a little bit. Lucky for me, I didn't have that many changes, but yeah, some of the boys we were just thrown around everywhere.
Kind of a selfish question. Performing in the Pantages versus other venues on the road. Come on. I've heard there's something special for a performer.
Here's the thing, Jeff.
Is it true?
Okay. Like I said, I lived in LA for 7 years, and I went to UCLA 4 years, stayed in LA an extra 3 years, and I learned to really love LA, and I learned to really hate LA, just because of it's like sometimes you have those really high highs. You get a job, and then you go to 10 auditions in one day, and you get 0 of them. I just remember sitting in traffic on the 101 and just looking and seeing the Pantages and just being like, wow, like that'd be really awesome to perform there one day. And I remember the first when first time we were there, 2015, we were at the Pantages, and I remember sound check, and I just remember like sitting on stage, and I just remember looking out and like a beautiful centerpiece up top, just looking around at everything in the Pantages, and I remember just like sitting there before I had to go up and like say my lines for sound check, and I just remember like crying, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that I'm on stage at the Pantages right now, this beautiful theater, and Pantages is like, it's up there. It really is. Like, you guys take really good care of the theater some places, but like the backstage is great. All the locals you have that come and help us out with all our quick changes, they're all really sweet people. One guy makes bow ties and sells them and like gives them stuff. No, like the Pantages is high up there. It really is. It ranks really high. I love the Pantages.
And it's fun to watch you guys come out at the stage door because I think we rival Broadway sometimes, that people just line up and they want to engage with you and they want the autographs, and it's fun for us to watch.
Oh my gosh, yeah, one like quick story, but I remember the first time we were in Pantages, it was that at the end of every week, we have to load out the show, and the load out dock is where the stage door is. So you guys, whoever, I don't know if anybody was there, but there were no barricades set up, and I was carrying my friend had left a skateboard, I was carrying a longboard, and I was carrying cookies, and my backpack, randomly cookies that someone gave me, and there was just a mob of people on whatever street that is right there, and I'm like trying to walk holding cookies, and then I'm like, oh, I got a skateboard, and then people are like, oh, do you want, can you sign my plate? I'm like, sure. Can you grab my cookies? I dropped them. But the support that we get here in LA is just, I remember the first time we performed for our opening night, and like I remember seeing Lance Bass in the third row, and just like, oh my gosh, that's Lance Bass, oh my gosh. And then I remember like our very opening, and then like after carrying the banner, I think the applause went for like almost 90 seconds. Like we're just sitting there, we're just like, and they kept applauding. And this is the national tour, we're not on Broadway. This is a tour, and they're applauding for us for like a minute and a half, and we're just like, we got a show to finish. You don't have to know, you don't know this, but I really have to go to the bathroom. So I'd really like to get off stage.
An actor's life, there you go. Any more questions?
Yeah, we have one down here.
Oh, great.
So you said at the beginning of this talk that you were watching yourself tonight. on screen. Is this the first time first of all, is it the first time you saw the show tonight on screen? Or did you guys get to see a preview of it?
They actually had a big premiere in New York for us, and I wasn't going to go, but I ended up going, and so this wasn't the first time I saw it. And but the great thing about that was I got to watch it with the boys and Disney creatives in the back, and we were so bad in the front rows. We were just like laughing at everything, standing up for things. Like it was really. It was just so special to watch it with those guys because we worked really hard on that.
So that was the follow-up question. What is it like to see yourself on screen doing a show? Because you never get to see yourself when you're performing.
Yeah, I'm pretty ridiculous on stage. I didn't realize that. Like I do some really dumb things. Like my fiance's like, "Oh yeah, you didn't know you do that?" I'm like, I didn't know that I look like that doing that. Like there's like little things that they catch, and I'm just like. And I was like, wow, I look really like it's funny though. It's great. It's weird to see that because I don't know what it looks like. And I wish sometimes that they don't allow you to like film your show and like watch it back and see things that you wish that you could fix. And so now that I got to watch it, I'm like, wow, okay, that's what it looks like. I'm really like, and to me it's like, wow, that I'm really happy that I got to see myself. Finally got to see myself doing this after how many years and see all the little things and seeing the things that they caught, things they edited in, and no, it's really great to see that. It meant a lot.
Question up in the balcony.
Hi, thank you so much for all the work that you put into this. I grew up watching this movie as a kid, kind of on repeat, and I'm sure a lot of people did. At what point in the process was it more important to top the movie? At what line was it to pay homage to the movie that this was based off of and all the songs that were from it? And then what point was the process like, we're gonna top this thing and add new stuff and bump up the choreography? And because it's very different when you have a play musical based off of a movie and then you're filming the play that's based off of a movie.
Yeah, oh no, I mean, I've wanted to beat the movie, of course. No, I'm kidding, no. No, I mean, Bob and Noni back there, like, they already gave us such, like, what they created for us, like, that can't be topped, you know what I mean? The thing that I loved about it was just that they gave these boys that never, you only know who Joseph Pulitzer is, you don't know who these Newsy boys are, you have no idea that there's no documentation of them, and Bob and Noni gave them a voice. They gave them this voice that, you know, I think that resonates to what's going on now. And I think there was never a point where we wanted to make our film better than what the original thing was, because the original thing will stand on its own. You know what I mean? The Dark Knight's in it. You know, like you're never gonna talk like that. And that inspired a whole generation of kids, boys, girls to want to dance. We're never gonna top that. You know what I mean? We're never gonna get. If anything, we just wanted to show our respect to them and show them that, you know, thank you for what you did for us. Thank you, Bob and Noni, for what you created. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for just, yeah, exactly. Like, thank you for everything that you provided for us and for giving us this platform. And that's pretty much what we wanted to do. And I hope that we did that. I really do, because it was a lot of hard work and yeah.
And I think in talking with us, when they were talking about actually filming it, I think the phrase live capture sort of summarizes that. It wasn't to change it or do it better. It was to try to capture a true moment of that live capture of one night, of that excitement of a live audience, and to bring that life to them.
Exactly.
More questions?
Yeah, we have one right down here.
Oh, great.
Hi, I have a multiple part question. Thank you for being here. I was curious, my first question is, what is your dream role on Broadway, either currently or in a past production or a production that you want to be in the future? My second question is, are you Filipino? And do you know about Broadway Barkada in New York? And that you should definitely connect with Liz Casasola. And then my third question, connect with, she's the president of Broadway Barkada, and she advocates for Filipinos on Broadway. And then my third question, I'm one of the leaders of UCLA's Filipino American Graduate Student Association, and I'm helping to produce a musical theater production around mental health stigma reduction in the Filipino community, and I'm curious if you have any desire to kind of partner with or write in the future.
Elphaba, Wicked. No, I'm kidding. I really want to be John Lawrence on Hamilton. That'd be dope. Yes, I know Robert Bacata, and let's talk. To the last question. Yeah.
We have one back here in the end, back in the belt.
Uh-oh.
It's really just a quick comment. You topped it, Nico.
Yeah, and you know something?
We have a question up here in the balcony.
No, yeah. I just have to say one thing, Nico. I probably saw the show, 30 or 40 times on Broadway, at the Paper Mill, and on tour. And you guys left your hearts on the stage every single night. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. I love you.
Question up here in the balcony.
First of all, I'd like to once again thank you. And as a bit of a follow-up to that, as an actor, I don't mean to pry too much into your secrets, but are there any pre-show rituals that help you get on stage? Because, this is a tour de force of a show, and you do it 8 times a week. So, is there anything that you do to get in the zone?
I have a best friend on tour, and it's a foam roller. No, I'm kidding. No, I literally you don't skip out on your warm-ups and stretching before this show. If you were to just show up with the theater and just put on your costume and then go out and do this show, you wouldn't be able to move for a week. You don't skip out on things like that. And I think just really when you're on pre-show, just getting in the zone of knowing who you are. No, it's always cool to think that for 2.5 hours on stage I get to just play a little 13-year-old boy, and then it's I go and do that, and that's an escape from the real life. So if I'm oh my gosh, I hope I don't get a parking ticket, because I don't know if I parked in the right place at this theater, because I have no idea where I'm at right now. I think I'm in Edmonton. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. And then you're but then you go on stage and you go and do that, then it's oh great, it's a really great way to escape. And I'm a practicing Catholic, so I pray all the time. I could literally I get teary singing it every time, because every time you hear the at the very beginning of the show, I always go back to when I was on stage and backstage and praying. And then there's little moments throughout the show where I'm please don't hurt yourself. Just praying for that. That's what I would do to get in the zone. Yeah.
So somebody asked routines and whatnot. Do you have your favorite audition song?
I Feel Pretty from West Side Story. No, I recently just started singing this song, Goodbye, from Catch Me If You Can, and it's yes. Yeah, that's my new audition song now, so yeah.
Cool. A couple more questions? Yeah.
Sure.
How hard was the accent?
The accent? Oh my gosh. It was interesting. I think it still carries over. Not that I don't think my accent's the best, and it's weird talking about that in front of the original screenwriters right now. My accent wasn't the best, but they taught us at the very beginning how to say Jick. You don't say Jack, you say Jick, or just little things, and even the little lines of I'm forgetting all the lines right now, but they gave us they told us okay, say it like you're saying this word, and then but say it and so it, and now it carries over. I annoy my fiance because I'm always yeah. She's what are you saying? I'm saying yeah. She's what? And I'm yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Go ahead.
I was really good at roller hockey. like sports was my thing back in the day, and so I had to choose at a point I had to choose between sports and dance, and my dad loved it at the time that I chose dance. So no, he loves it now. But
And what age was that?
I was going into 6th grade. Whatever age that is, 10, 11. Like, cause my parents were driving me to roller hockey practice, and then they would have to take me straight to dance class. And then sometimes things conflicted, and so my parents were like, "We can't keep doing this. There's only 2 of us, and there's only 1 of you, and it's a lot of money, so you need to choose one. We need to focus." They were like, "No, not that's a lot of money," because if I wanted to do both, I'm sure they would have done it, but they were just like, "We want you to focus on one. Focus on one so that we can make sure that we put everything into that." So, yeah.
Cool. Yes. One last question?
Make it a good one. Sure.
I love the Pantages, and I have been going for years. But this really felt like, I didn't see Newsies when it was in Pantages, but this felt like you were at the theater. We wanted to just get up and clap and shout, and it was awesome. Very well done.
Well, I think that's a great moment to end on. If anybody else, thank you. That's truly tremendous. I just want to say thank you to Robert Noni for joining us this evening.
Yes.
Nico, thank you so much for taking the time as well. And all of you as our subscribers, thank you. This was something we've never done before, and we haven't had an opportunity to show a film filmed in the theater. So thank you guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you at the theater.